Hey guys, William Ayat, creator of Jazz Edge. Welcome to episode 5 of the Jazz Piano Daily. Today we're going to be talking about stride jazz piano accompaniment. So if you'd like to get all of these lessons, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications. Jazz Piano Daily is just quick, no BS, learn by doing daily jazz piano lessons. All right, so let's take a look at what we're doing today. Let me play it for you and then we'll break it down. So we have this. That's the first part of Misty. So what's happening here is we're creating this kind of like this stride feel. It's kind of like a ballad stride feel. And what we're doing is we're alternating between playing the root of the chord and the rootless chord. So we have here, this is the root of the chord. See, we're playing the E flat, and then we have the rootless chords, all right? So rootless, I'm going to try and write that out there for you. So this is your rootless chord right here. The rootless chord, we've already talked about it in episodes 1, 2, and 3, but just as a quick reminder, the rootless chord is a chord that, well, has no root in it. It is rootless. Now, why do we play those rootless chords? Because typically when playing jazz piano, we would be playing along with a bass player or another instrument that would be playing the root, all right? So in a typical jazz piano trio, it might be piano, bass, and drums. Well, the bass player plays the root. That means that the piano player doesn't need to be playing the root of the chord anymore. Now, what about when we play solo jazz piano? We could still do those rootless chords because they're nice, because they add in those tensions and adds in some nice jazz piano flavor and style to it. But then what happens with the root? Well, that's where we play the root and then play the rootless chord. And that's exactly what's happening here. We have root, chord, right? So root, chord, root, chord. Now, over here, I said root, right? But in reality, what is this note right here? This is not the root. This is the root, right? But then what is a B flat on an E flat chord? It is the what? It is the fifth of the chord. So I'm playing the root and then the rootless chord, and then I play the fifth and then the rootless chord. And the only reason this rootless chord right here is different than this one is because I'm playing this melody here, so I take off that top note, the B flat, in my left hand because I'm going to end up playing it with my right hand. And then when I go to B flat, I play the root, and then I come up and I play the B flat minor rootless chord. And then I go to E flat, I play the root, and then I play the rootless E flat dominant seventh chord. And then I played the root of A flat, and then the rootless A flat major seventh chord, which we haven't covered yet. I'll talk about it in just 1 second. Then I go down to the fifth, and then I come back up, and I don't play the full chord. I take off the top note again right here, just because we're going to start getting close here in the right hand, right? It doesn't conflict. I could play that because the C is fine, but it was just kind of close. Right? It's just kind of close, so I left off that top note. All right, so let's talk about that A flat major seventh chord. Now, if you don't know how to form those major seventh rootless chord voicings, go back to episode number 1, take a look at that, all right, before going on, just to see if you can figure it out on your own. I'm going to show it to you right now. Remember, you start with the basic A flat major seventh block chord, okay? Put your pinky on the third, middle finger on the fifth, second finger on the seventh, and we come up to the 9. That is one of the voicings right there. That's what we're using. That's the A voicing. What's the B form of that voicing? Well, remember, I could take those bottom 2 notes and move them up here, right? Or another way of thinking about it is put my pinky on the 7th and then go up from there. The 9, the 9, the 3rd, and the 5th. I could also look at it like this. Get my guide tones, the 3rd and the 7th, right? Or in this case, the 7th and the 3rd. Add 1 note between, which is the 9. Add 1 note above, which is the 5th, right? That 1 note in between or 1 note above is not always going to be the 9th and the 5th, so just bear that in mind. But you will have guide tones, 1 note between, 1 note above. It will be something like the 9, the 5th, the 13, something like that. All right, so anyway, that is your A flat major seventh chord. I want to just share with you one other thing, right? If you take a look at this chord voicing right here, right? What is that? We could say that that is a what? C minor 7 chord, right? It's exactly what it is. It's a C minor 7 chord. So wait a second, how is that an A flat chord if it's also a C minor 7 chord? Because guess what? In jazz, chords can function in many different ways. Function means that it is working as a particular chord. So if I say this is a A flat major 7th chord, all right, well, it's functioning as an A flat major 7th chord. If I say that's C minor 7, well, in that case, it's functioning as a C minor 7 chord, or it's functioning as a minor chord, right? So if I put different roots underneath that chord, you can see that I get different sounds. If I put an F underneath there, I get like an F sus4 sound. Put an A flat underneath there, I get an A flat major. Put a C underneath there, I get a C minor, right? Kind of going off on a tangent here, but just to kind of give you that idea, put that in the back of your head. This idea is good, though, for forming those rootless chords, because another way of thinking about forming that major 7th chord is go up to the 3rd of the chord and create a minor 7 chord. Well, let's see, does that work? Let's try it in C. Go up to the 3rd of the chord, E, make a minor 7 chord. Well, guess what? There is my C major 7th rootless chord voicing. Right? For minor chords, go up to the flat 3, create a major 7th chord. For dominant chords, go down to the flat 7, make a major 7, and then flat the 5. That's another way in which you could look at it. Right? So anyway, let's go through and play this whole thing. A flat minor next. There's your chord for A flat minor. Now, as I've said in the previous lesson, if you are interested in getting the rest of Misty and really learning the rest of Misty, it is covered in extreme detail in my Standards by the Dozen course. All right, and that's found back at Jazz Edge. So if you're interested in learning 12 standards with, you know, your rootless voicings, two-handed comping, improvisation, bass line, shells, and all of that, then you definitely want to take a look at Standards by the Dozen. And if you're interested in improvising over them, then the Confident Improviser program is fantastic. All right, all of that is all listed down here as well. Right? If you would like to get the sheet music for today's lesson, just go back to Jazz Piano Daily. The link is right in the description. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and turn on notifications. And if you have any questions or you have an idea for another Jazz Piano Daily lesson, please feel free to write it in the comments area and I'll take a look at it. And who knows, maybe your idea will become the next Jazz Piano Daily lesson. Thanks a lot for joining me today, guys. I'll see you in the next Jazz Piano Daily.